When I'm in here, I don't wear it. I don't
locations
really know.
where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Okay, good. So we'll talk about
This
that.
is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome into Fitness
Are we muted
Fanatics
on here?
on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome into the Fitness Fanatics. It is Sunday, October 2nd, and we just kicked off a 10-week challenge yesterday. Yesterday was busy. Kicked off the 10-week challenge, which Harrison was a part of. We'll get to him here in just a minute. He can barely lift his arms today from his minute of exercise yesterday, so we'll get to him here in just a second. Last night, I was out at the Nebraska game, so it was a late night for me. But, you know, we pushed through it. That's right. That's right. So Nicole is not here. She's actually driving back from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Her and our son went to the Thomas Rhett concert in Sioux Falls, and my daughter and I went to the Husker game. So we have a co-host in here. I mean, nobody just wants me and Harrison in here talking. So we had to, Nicole's the brains behind the operation. So we needed somebody with smarter than I am to be in here to help out with the show. So we have one of our instructors from the Yankee Ridge location, which Harrison will get to know here over the next 10 weeks. Crystal Kerr is with us. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Now, did you go to the game last night? Or you just watched it at home?
We watched it at home. We did do some tailgating last the early afternoon, and then made our way back and watched the game and had a great time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool being in the stadium.
You actually went?
Oh yeah. My daughter and I went to the game last night. So, and those who know, I've been doing Whole30 for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, you know, no sugar, none of the, no, I mean, basically just like meat and vegetables and fruit. That's about it. So, and my daughter's doing it with me. So we went to the game. Usually we stop at tailgates. We stop and see some Farrell's members along the way, have a couple drinks, get some free food. Dan Durham's always a popular spot. He always has, like 2 weeks ago, he was making breakfast sandwiches like on the spot. So I told Katie, I'm like, all right, we're going to leave our house at 5, drive straight to the parking lot, walk to our seat, watch the game, walk back and drive home. So we actually made it through a game and we just had water.
No beers, huh?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Good.
Because there's no alcohol either on Whole30.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, you know, and then people are passing pizza boxes in front of us and Franzas and every time a pizza box, you know, we sat on the end of our seat. We're in seat 1 and 2. So like passing it down the rows and passing money back and forth and the boxes are right in front of us. And it's just like, and Katie's like, oh, I didn't know they had ice cream. People walking up, just licking their cones. And we're just like, I'm just like, this sucks so bad. And she's like, but just think how good your insides are feeling right now.
It's right. It was nice to have somebody along with you to
so
keep you from ordering the pizza.
Yes, you're by yourself. It's a little easier to give into temptation because you're like, oh, nobody knows I'm eating the sliced pizza but me. And I can just hide it and just pretend it never happened. But great thing about Farrell's is you're not working out on your own. You know, you have people there, accountability, and that type of thing. So, well, Crystal, for those, she was on with us back in April. It was way too short of a segment. We had 2 guests on that day, and we never had 2 guests on since.
Yeah, I was just getting settled in.
I know, just kind of crammed in there. And I was like, oh, 5, 10, okay, we're done. So I wanted to have her back in. I've never missed a show. Now, this is Nicole's 3rd show that she's missed, but I've never missed one. So I've had AD come in and co-host, and I wanted Crystal to come in both times, but she was traveling and gone. So I'm glad that you were able to come in today with us.
Yeah.
Kind of the theme after this first segment. So it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month of October. This first segment, we're gonna kind of talk to Harrison and see how his orientation went, testing, what questions he has that you can help, give him some advice. Hopefully, some of our other 10-week members are listening because that was kind of their homework assignment.
They can kind of listen to what I'm going through and relate to it a little
That's
bit.
right. Yes. And even if you're starting something new, you can relate to it because you all have those feelings of, week 1, week 2, week 3. Like me, I'm in week 3 of Whole30, and I'm just like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? This is just getting boring. But then I feel good. I'm like, oh, I lost some weight. So all those range of emotions that we all go through. But Crystal is the head athletic trainer at Lincoln Southwest, the 5-1 Lincoln Southwest Silver Hawks, right?
Yep, that's right.
So when's the last time Lincoln Southwest was in the state playoff, like the football playoffs?
A few years ago we made the playoffs. But going in, with a 5-1 record and just with some momentum, I would say it's been a long time. So I'm really excited for the kids and really excited for the Southwest community and not only, with football, because I don't just work with football, all of our athletes. Our softball team just won the HAC conference championship. They went 5-0 through that and they didn't allow a run at all. They outscored their opponents. And so that kind of stuff. Our volleyball team is number 1 right now in wild card points in the city, in the state. And so we're just really rocking and rolling over there.
Like
and so I, yes, I do, football's kind of the big talking point, but I want to give a shout out to all my other athletes that they're killing it. Golf, cross country, all those that are doing their thing. So,
and all the athletes get all the glory, but behind the scenes is you.
We want to try to, myself and Rebecca Townsend were the 2 athletic trainers at Southwest. And so, we are behind the scenes. We like it there.
Yeah.
If we're in the forefront, and people know who we are, there's things going on. So, we like to be behind the scenes and we keep our athletes, a goal as an athletic trainer is to, we understand the athlete or the athletic side of things, sports medicine side of things. So we know what you can play through, what you shouldn't play through, how can we get you from game to game? Because we know, especially in high school, your season is so short. So, if an injury takes you away from, 1 or 2 weeks or whatever, and sometimes you do have those situations, but we really focus on and preach to our athletes that body maintenance is big. And that's, that's eating right. That's taking care of your body. If you have anything, we all are pushing ourselves bigger, faster, stronger. And so, injuries are going to happen. And some of those muscle pulls and whatnot, they're going to happen. And if you're giving your level 10, as we say at Farrell's, and you give 100% on the competitively in whatever sport you're playing, you're gonna get those things. So we really focus on getting them into the athletic training room and getting them a rehab program and maintenance. What can we tape and brace, and what can we do to allow them to continue to compete at a high level that we need them to compete at? And then we're also there in that voice of reason to understand when it's not safe to play. You get concussion and concussion awareness, and we all have seen the stuff.
I was going to bring that up. So now, if you were in charge there, I'm sure you would have said, "Hey, you're not going to play," right?
Absolutely. And yes. If I saw one of my athletes last Sunday stumbling around like that, we would have done some more investigating. I don't understand. I don't know the behind the scenes on the NFL and how that works and who gets last say. I just know that athletic trainers are very well versed in concussion management, and we really have to monitor the signs and symptoms and stuff like that. And so, I just kind of wonder when you get NFL and you get more people that have voices, that have money,
right,
and stuff like that. And I don't want to speak out of turn for any of that, so I don't. But I just am curious as from an athletic trainer standpoint. Who does have that final say? Because I just know from all the things, our National Athletic Trainers Association, we have a big symposium every year, and this is every athletic trainer, NFL, NBA, all the way down high school,
Mhm.
college, stuff like that, go to these symposiums. And so we're all learning the same things and have the same, kind of background in that. So just curious, that would be my question if I could ask someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
is who gets that final call? So
Now Harrison's going to be starting, his first week's going to be at the Pioneers gym, but then he's moving closer to Yankee Ridge. So he'll be starting Yankee Ridge week 2. Crystal is an instructor at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So he'll be doing the 6 a.m. class.
6 a.m. Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
So having Crystal, if somebody's ask me a question about, oh, what do I do about this? Usually I'd be like, well, you can ask Crystal. She's kind of our resident. Oh, if your knee's aching, your shoulder's aching, what stretches can I do? What can I do to help with that? So if you're kind of going through something and I'm like, well, let's see what Crystal has to say.
Yeah.
So she's the expert in that. Like I am not. So I'm like the expert in kickboxing and feral stuff, but like injuries and stuff like that's not really my forte. So I don't want to give anybody the wrong advice. So that's why we refer you to her.
Yeah.
So
and I got to take my hat. I got to take my instructor hat off. I got to put my athletic trainer hat on. And because when I am at Farrell's and instructing, it's 100% Farrell's instructor hat and that kind of stuff. And so I kind of jump out of my regular mode of athletic trainer and whatnot. So yeah, it's fun to really meet new people that way. There's a lot of times that I the hustle and bustle of getting in and out of classes and stuff like that. You don't really get to talk to too many. Especially the new 10-weekers until they've, kind of been around a while. And so that's one way to kind of meet new people and get a chance to know what they're about a little bit.
We did get a text from John Squire.
Oh.
And John said, Crystal is incredible. Thank her from the Squire family.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that.
Now, in 6 months of doing this show, I don't know if we've ever gotten a text that said, Jeff is incredible. So kudos to you. You've been on 10 minutes and you're already getting shout outs and praises. We've been on 6 months and we get nothing.
Well, shout out Gavin Robinson. Gavin Robinson hit last week, remember?
Oh, yeah. Yes, Gavin likes us. So, and he's on there chiming in today. So, so we appreciate that. We do have, hopefully we have a bunch of ticket listeners that have signed up to do the 10-week challenge. Probably, I think, close to 15. Some prominent texters. Now, I won't say their names, because they might want to be behind the scenes like, oh, I don't even know I'm doing this. So if you're listening today and you have any questions for myself or Crystal, you can text us on the Starter Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. So back to kind of the theme of the show. I get off course without Nicole here. I'm just like, oh, here we go. Here. Yeah. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have one of our members, Leslie Pierce, coming in at bottom of the hour, top of the hour. That is a breast cancer survivor, and she's been a Farrell's member for 9 years. So we're just going to kind of talk to her about her journey through that and how fitness and maintaining her health and being healthy helped her through that process and recovery. So super excited to have her on. Crystal, you've experienced or dealt with breast cancer, not yourself personally, but
not personally, but I do have some family members that have had some experiences there as well that we'll talk about.
Yep. And then now Nicole and I were saying, now we really don't have any family members that have had it. And I think I was even telling you this, but this morning I was driving here. I was like, wait a minute. I have had an aunt that's had breast cancer. Okay. It was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. My aunt that lives here in Lincoln. So I texted my cousin and I was like, did your mom have breast cancer? Because I'm now 20 years ago, I would have been 22, right? Yeah. So
a blur.
But right, not on the forefront of my mind as a 22-year-old. And then she also informed me that my grandma had breast cancer.
There you go. You're learning.
Nicole's listening. She's probably like, I can hear her saying this in the car. Welcome to my life. But I don't think it was. Now my grandma lived to be like in her 90s, so it wasn't like, she died from breast cancer or anything like that. Even my cousin really wasn't sure how old she was when she got it. So I'm like, either I just don't remember, it didn't affect her too much, or maybe my dad just never told me. Right. Like I was too young to know. So I've had a couple family members that have had breast cancer, and we have some friends that Marilee, one of our good friends from Des Moines, has gone through breast cancer and is fighting brain cancer right now. So I've had some experience with that, but not a lot of people that I know that have gone through that. So, but we're going to kind of dive into that here. The last 90 minutes or so. But until then, let's get to Harrison. He started a 10-week challenge yesterday, and he was at orientation.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that go for you? What did you think of the orientation and that whole process?
I mean, the way it was set up is pretty straightforward. Like I didn't really get too many, I don't know if you want to call them jitters, but I wasn't super anxious. It was pretty straightforward. I'd say the biggest surprise, but orientation, you're kind of feeling it out. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, where's the burn in this? Like, where's the sweat really going to start happening? Because we're like walking through stuff and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit. And then you do the push-ups and sit-ups. And I don't think that's what got me a sore. It is when you start punching and throwing kicks over and over. It's like watching a boxing match or UFC. You see how tired those guys get so fast. And you're just trying to go with like speed and power. And then you realize after going for about only a minute, you're like, holy smokes. After a minute, I just had beads of sweat going down my head. And I'm like, okay, this is where you lose weight or gain muscle mass. It's just on those bags. That was probably the biggest surprise to me. But for the most part, I thought it went really well. It's cool to see AD there again. I didn't realize he was speaking, but you get a nice little pep speech too before you get going. And AD, he's obviously a great public speaker. So that was good. But yeah, it was a good first day for orientation, I'd say.
Now, one of our members, you probably won't ever see him. He's going to do 5 a.m. at Pioneers.
Okay.
7 feet tall. Now, what was really funny was that AD was up there and he was talking about how, he wasn't really fast. He was just scared, right? That's what he says. So he runs fast. So out of all the people at orientation, AD goes up to Kyle, is his name, Chris, I'm sorry, goes up to him and says, "Hey, brother, stand up." He had no idea.
Oh my goodness.
This was our 7 foot tall.
Oh, he didn't know?
He had no clue. I mean, sitting on the ground, you see he's the big guy, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why AD went to him and said, "Stand up." So it was really funny because AD's just looking up. He's like, "Oh my gosh," it kept getting taller, taller, and taller. It was so funny. He's just like, And AD's a pretty tall guy, but when he stood up, it was just funny. He picked him out of everybody sitting there. And he's like, "Now, if this brother hits me, it's going to hurt." And he's just so much foot taller than AD.
That's funny.
It was hilarious. Harrison, so while we got, Crystal in here, what, do you have any questions for us about tomorrow's day one? Any, what questions you have for us leading into day one? Have you watched the nutrition videos?
Yeah, I didn't watch them. I just listened to them.
Okay.
When I was getting ready this morning, I just turned it on while I was in the shower, which is kind of nice because the way you have it set up, you don't really need to watch it.
Right.
It's just her reading off slides.
Right.
So because I can definitely realize that's going to be the biggest challenge for me. It's nutrition.
Yep.
I only had 2 beers yesterday, which is good. I also had to work this morning and yesterday, so it's not like I go nuts anyways. But yeah, I think the nutrition, the sheet I got was like 2,000 calories. Obviously, you got to split that between everything, or 2,200, which is just something I never had. So that's going to be huge for me to actually understand what I need to eat. As far as going into that first day, I mean, is it pretty much just rapid fire from here on out and then increase intensity, but you just kind of hop in, right, and then you just go?
Oh, Chris, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I think as day one or even week one for us instructors, we really focus on just kind of the energy and really kind of trying to break down the punches and the kicks and stuff like that. So it is slower, but it probably more slow for fit members because we do slow it down. It probably feels like a whirlwind to 10 weekers. And I remember at my 10 weeks, I felt it was like, oh my God, what's happening? I don't even know what's going on. And class is over. But we really try to break it down and make sure that you feel comfortable with the punches, but get after it and sweat. We're going to sweat. We're going to do some off the bag stuff that's going to get your heart rate up or get it down. If we've got high intensity on the bag, we'll get your heart rate back down with some sit-ups and abs or squats or whatever, right? And stuff like that. So kind of do a little high intensity interval training in that regards. But yeah, week 1 is just really kind of getting you familiar with the terminology. I think that's probably the biggest thing for 10 weekers, just the terminology that we're using, moving from one set to the next and kind of keeping up. So, but then after that, I would say, after the first couple weeks, it's go time. I remember, my 10 weeks, week 3 was the week that was like, oh, so we're turning things up. Okay. So I guess we're going.
So I also wanted to ask, do those, like, how do you break down your workouts? I know those guys are kind of saying during orientation, so people will go kind of like Mondays, like pretty much all upper body, and then next day you'll do legs, and then you'll kind of break it up that way. So do you kind of just do a combination of everything on each day, or do you just kind of, specify certain muscle groups throughout your sessions?
So kickboxing will be full body.
Okay.
So, it'll be upper lower body that we'll focus on, especially on off the bag work. I know when we first start, Monday will be punches only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that everybody understands that. And, you get a long warm up in there. So everybody kind of gets the feel of how things are going to go. And then the bag work is mostly upper body punches. Then we come back with Tuesday, which is a lower body strength training. And then Wednesday will kind of be our focus is then on our kicks, and really breaking down with, there's so many styles of kicks that we use. We have a power kick that is, from the back foot. And we also have a couple different, front foot kicks and crescent kicks and different things like that. So, to try to get that in a 45-minute section, just to really and have the time to explain it. I think that's the biggest thing that we want to try to do on the mic, especially, is to explain it in a way that you guys can understand it and then get the most out of practicing it basically on the bag. And so, we may throw a little punches in at the end when people are tired of kicking, but, and then Thursday is upper body, strength training. And then Friday we put it all together. So then moving forward, our kickboxing days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, are going to be pretty much full body, work, punches, kicks,
Okay.
You name it. So,
And as Nicole said too yesterday, is the first week, 2 weeks is about building your foundation.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to start building a house with the roof.
Yeah.
So it'll never work. So you're not going to come in tomorrow and the instructor is going to be like, okay, you're going to do a right jab, left cross, right hook, 2 uppers, right round, left round, touchdown, 10 burpees, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, because that would be like building a roof. So we're going to start with the foundation, digging the ground. We're going to do a right jab. And our fit members, I think they kind of like going back
they
to
do. Yeah.
the beginning. And what's really funny is, like, over the last couple of years, we've kind of stepped up the intensity a little quicker. So, like, when we always get to a week 2 class, our fit members will be like, Jeff, this is only week 2. And I'm like, well, it's your week like 500,
Right.
So it's not week 2 for you. And the only people that really complain about how hard the classes are the fit members, because you have no idea how it's
Right.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
Embracing it.
yes, I hear that every single 10 weeks. It's week 2. Like, AD,
What are you doing?
AD. Well, it's the first day. Like, if I do 5 burpees, right? It's the first day, Jeff. What's going on? I'm like, it's not your first day. You've been doing this 10 years.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I believe we're up for a break. All right. So we're going to be right back here on the Fitness Fanatics 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is, who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at pricerightauto.com.
Parent-teacher conferences are a key ingredient in your child's academic achievement. I'm Jenny Benson, a teacher and president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Head into your parent-teacher conference with notes and questions. Share details with the teacher about your child and life at home. Ask about your child's strengths and weaknesses and how you can be supportive. Help us make this your child's best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
You are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club, or space club, and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? No, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life, the bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. If you're just joining us, you can text the show at 402-464-5685. Nicole is out of the state today. She's on her way back. I'm joined in studio with Crystal Kerr, one of our instructors from Yankee Ridge.
Hello.
Later today, and there's still time if you want to do this with us, we're going to be doing the Run to Overcome. It's a 5K for, I'm actually wearing a little bracelet, make sure I got the name. Run to Overcome. Yes. So Run to Overcome is coming up today at 1:00, raising awareness for mental health.
Nice.
So that's coming up today. Nicole and I are going to be doing the 5K. So we'll be out there. She's going to roll into town about noon, and then we're going to head on over.
Where's that at?
It's starts on 84th. It's just, we run on the trail behind the Pioneers location.
Okay.
So really close to there. So we got about a 5-minute drive to get over there. So I was like, well, gosh, the NFL's on, but it's like, there's some things more important than football. So Nicole and I, we need to foster our relationships. We had the ladies on from the Run to Overcome on our show.
Yep.
Promoting it. So since we're promoting it, we decided we should probably do it.
Yep.
Instead of just
Good
talking
call.
about it.
Yeah.
And then there's some other Farrell's members that'll be out there too. Some doing their first 5K ever. So it'll be kind of fun. Maggie Thorne will be there.
Okay.
Who we've had on as
Yeah.
well. So fostering relationships. So I'm like, we'll only be out there an hour. I won't miss the entire games. And I'm like, why do I even want to watch football? I just get stressed. So except for yesterday, it was fun.
Yeah.
And exciting. So one game at a time. So that's what we have going on here later today. Run to Overcome. Next Sunday on the show, we're going to be joined by our female $1,000 winner from the last challenge, Helen Posh. She would have been on with us the day after she won, but she's a pastor, so
she had obligations.
She had to get a little bit longer notice to miss the Sunday. So we're getting her out of church next week.
Oh wow. Okay.
To come in here to be with us on there. So that's coming up next week. So we're going to talk a bit. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we talked in the first segment about how my grandma had breast cancer that I had no clue that she had until 30 minutes ago. And then also one of my aunts have been through it 20 years ago. She's a survivor as well. And Crystal, we were kind of chatting yesterday. So you've had some experience with breast cancer. So, and if we have guys listening, have your spouses listen to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is a good show for them to listen to. Because if guys like me, you're like, oh, okay.
It also it affects guys as well.
Yes.
My basketball coach in high school, her husband had breast cancer, and he's a survivor. And so that kind of goes,
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that's me.
So guys and ladies can, they're affected. Obviously a little less prevalent in males, but definitely can happen. So everyone should listen in.
So what's your experiences with dealing with breast cancer in your family?
So my mom is a breast cancer survivor. I think it's been about 16 years now. She was diagnosed in 2006 and caught it very early. So she didn't have to go through the chemo radiation. She took some medicine to kind of help make sure that it took care of it, and lots of follow-ups and stuff like that. And so that affected me with early detection as well. So I've been getting mammograms since I was 29, and get those yearly. And so I just want to make sure that I stay on top of it. My mom's sister also had breast cancer, and she did lose her battle to that. And so that's kind of on that side of the family. Then my dad's sister, my other aunt, she had breast cancer in her 30s. And she was a survivor of breast cancer. And so I kind of got it on both sides. So I'm definitely really focused on the early detection and making sure that I'm getting my yearly mammograms and all that type of stuff. So But just being going through it, and it's scary, and you just never know. Right now, even I never know when, I get that mammogram and it says it's got something, and sometimes I kind of feel when when I have it on both sides of the family that it's just like, well, I feel like I'm just kind of sitting there waiting, but you never know. But it's one of those things that it affects a lot of families and females, and I just can't. One of the things that I really kind of look at with my mom and the early detection and stuff like that is really something that I'm focused on, making sure, and I want all women to have the opportunity to make sure that they have access to those types of testing, and making sure that they take time for themselves to detect anything that might be there. So that's kind of my family history a little bit with breast cancer.
All right. Well, like I said, Leslie Pierce is hopefully driving here, and hopefully she's listening. So she should be with us here either at the next segment or at the top of the hour. So let's kind of get back, let's go back to a little Farrell's talk. So there's still time to join the 10-week challenge, even though we had our orientation yesterday. I know I've had some listeners that I've texted with, emailed. It's funny because people are excited. They hear me on the radio. Like, I've been on a few different shows with Mark over the last couple weeks, and we talked about this yesterday in orientation. Mark's lost 70 pounds since April 11th. And it's going to be interesting for you guys and our listeners to follow Harrison's changes, because Harrison, if he lost 70 pounds, he wouldn't be alive. So he doesn't have 70 pounds to lose. Now, what's kind of interesting is that, with the whole macro situation, you would think like, okay, we have somebody like Mark who has a lot of weight to lose, somebody like Harrison who needs to build muscle, and their calories are about the same.
Yeah.
So if you're out there needing to lose weight, the worst thing to do is just to undereat.
Yeah.
Like I said, Mark was eating 2,400 calories a day. And we're always fixated on calories in, calories out, which is true. But we don't really realize how many calories we burn on a daily basis. So
just living,
just living. So like Harrison, if you're eating 2,200 calories, that means your basal metabolic rate is around 1,900.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
Yes.
Which Nicole broke that down really well, understanding like if you don't eat this amount, your body will use those muscles and you'll just lose muscle mass. So like that one to me, like I've always plateaued. Even when I work out, I always hit to a point where it just plateaus and I just can't pick up weight. And when the way she broke it down, it's like, well, I'm just eating my own muscles. So you go work out, right? And then you just use everything you just did because your body's got to keep itself going. Yep. So she broke that down very well, I thought.
Yeah, the number one thing that people struggle with is eating enough food, because we're Biggest Loser mentalities, which I loved watching The Biggest Loser. Not because somebody lost 30 pounds in a week, but I liked I like watching the workouts because I'm like, ooh, what are they what are they doing now? Can I do this in my class? So this is great. So it used to be on Tuesday night, so I'd watch Tuesday night and be like, oh, what's this move they're doing? No, I think I'm going to do this in class. So I loved watching that. And then, but more, I loved watching the interaction of why did you get this way? Like, why, and people that started there, they're 400 or 500 pounds, right? So what got you to this point? It's all, emotional backstories, childhood, growing up, all that stuff. And I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do know that a lot of your change is mental, because sitting in orientation, we have 60 people starting this challenge, and everybody hears the same thing. Everybody goes through the same workouts week one. So everybody's pretty much getting the same experience in the gym. They all have access to the nutrition. We talked about your tips for success yesterday, which is 1, come to class, 2, follow the nutrition, log your food, 3, interact with your teammates. and your coaches and instructors and Nicole and I. So typically we'll find people that don't have good results, and we really don't know till week 5,
right,
when we get them on the scale and kind of check and see how they're going. But usually people, when they don't have good results, they're not logging their food.
Yep. 100%.
Yes.
I would highly recommend anyone who's just starting out to log the food, truly see what each food item has for macros. One of the things I know, when I started, I was eating over 2,000 calories as a female. And a lot of times our females are like, oh, I can't eat more than 1,200 or 1,300. And now you're adding
Right.
exercise on top of it and muscle building. And
Mhm.
so, that the strength training portion of the Farrell's program is really the most important in reshaping your body and giving that fit look that you're looking for. And that
Mhm.
comes with muscle. That doesn't come with, just skin and bones. So
Right.
you have to eat the food, and if you don't log it, you never truly know where you're at.
Right. You can think I
Yeah.
eat salads.
Right.
And I eat this, and then I look, and they're eating like 50 grams of protein.
Yeah. And the
So-
hardest part too. So if you eat McDonald's every day, it's easy to get to
But
2,000
yes,
or
we-
3,000.
Yeah, or
If-
4.
or 4 or 5. But if you're eating clean and you are focusing on your carbs and proteins and your healthy fats and stuff like that, it's really hard to get to 2,000 calories. And so you've got to be really strategic with what types of food you're eating. And I think that's where it's okay to have fats if they're healthy fats,
Right.
And so I think that for me was kind of how I could get to that mark. To get enough was just kind of those healthy fats, your avocados and your gosh, I kind of went blank there, but I would even add olive oil to my eggs just to kind of get a little bit of some of those
Yeah,
healthy
and people might
fats
be
to
like,
it.
"Oh, you're adding fat to
Yeah.
fat?" I mean, I
Yeah.
I can't eat eggs because I have high cholesterol. Well, okay, if you have high cholesterol, it's not because you're eating eggs, right?
Right.
It's
right.
because you might be eating eggs, but you're eating more fat than just
Right.
the eggs.
Right.
So eggs are an excellent source
Yeah.
of fat. So don't be scared about eggs. Don't be scared about bread.
They're also a
you know?
high protein source
yes,
as well.
high protein, high
So,
fat.
I did want to ask, what are some of those high proteins that are, not, you don't have to break the bank getting them? Because I feel like protein is one of those that are something that I want to find that I can eat consistently. That's not, I don't have to go crazy out of my way.
Right. Just grilling up a bunch of chicken breasts or tenderloins or whatever, and just have those available to, be able to warm up or put in salads or put in wraps, or it's okay to have carbs. I think sometimes we get focused on, well, I can't eat carbs.
Mhm.
And well, if you're eating carbs in the form of sugar, no, you don't want to do that. But
Right.
if you're eating carbs in the form of whole grains and what that's kind of fill your, make you feel full a little bit, and the longer sustaining, those are all great carbs. I know sometimes when people go through the program and they get really growly and just angry and tired, and they just don't feel well, they're usually not eating enough carbs.
Mhm.
And so you kind of add that, your brain needs carbs to function. And, there's certain body systems that need those carbs for food. And so if you take those completely out and just focus on, the protein source, you're not hitting on all cylinders. So again, yeah, being able to see what those are by logging is very helpful.
All right. Well, we are up against a break. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Fitness Fanatics 93.7, the ticket.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life, the bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woo-hoo. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. We just got a short, quick segment here, finish out the hour, and at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by one of our FIT members, Leslie Pierce, who is a breast cancer survivor and a loyal, well, she's just a health advocate, fitness advocate, and she just happens to be a member of Farrell's. So that is great. Oh, yeah, you can bring her on here if you want. So she's here right now. We'll have her jump on just to do a quick little introduction, and then we'll bring her in, and so she can be on camera. Well, so she's making her way over. So we were talking about yesterday orientation. We did a little kickboxing technique. Usually we don't do that because we're talking more nutrition. So Nicole had made some nutrition videos, a little over an hour of going through why you need to eat this, all about the BMR, your body composition, all that. So we kind of could get rid of all that.
That's so great.
And then we
Yeah.
spent about 30 minutes on the bag. So yes, tomorrow at 5 a.m. when it's normally, I mean, it'll still probably be a little chaotic, but hopefully not as chaotic.
Yeah.
So Crystal and I were chatting about that, and then the intro music came on. So I'm like, well, we'll just go ahead and talk about that. So is she good? Can she be on?
Yeah, I think.
We'll just okay.
Yeah, just
we'll
wrap this one up.
All
We'll
right.
get her on the next one.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll cut this a little short, give her a little more time. So Leslie is here, but we'll get her on here at the top of the hour. So just to finish up here with Harrison, now do you have your meals planned for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's just I realize it's gonna be a lot of chicken and rice. Like I'm pretty vanilla on what I like. I'm a little bit
That's
picky.
me. I eat like a toddler.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts. That's my 1, 2, 3 every
Okay.
time.
Oh,
So,
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I do like. I don't have a problem with veggies. Fruits, I don't mind fruits. I just have a hard time going out and buying them and eating them consistently. But yeah, it's just gonna be just eat food. just got to pile on the calories, the good calories, because like you said, you get the junk food calories. You can get to 2,000 real fast. You eat the healthier stuff. You just got to eat a lot more. So that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge for me.
Now, for the lack of fruits, like DP was drinking a naked, right?
Yeah,
which
that's
I
true.
love the nakeds.
Mhm.
So, like, that's a great source of fruit too. Now, you don't want to be drinking 5 of them a day, but like, I like to have one with my breakfast. Like, if I'm a big bacon and eggs person, right? So I'm doing sugar-free bacon right now because I'm doing Whole30. So we have a little flat top grill outside, which I think it's the coolest thing because anytime I make bacon in the house, we usually broil it and then it stinks up. Well, it doesn't stink. I like the smell of bacon, but my kids don't. So it smells the entire house. Usually if I leave it in the oven too long, the smoke alarm goes off. I'm waving it with my oven mitt, trying to get it to go off. But now with our flat top grill outside, I'm like a short order cook, right? I got my bacon on there, crack the eggs so I can make it all outside. So I'll have some bacon and eggs with either a glass of orange juice or the nakeds. There's not a lot of nakeds I can drink because I'm allergic to bananas.
Oh, okay.
So I think I am. The last time I had a banana, I threw up in my car driving down the road. And Nicole just forced me to eat it, and she's not here to defend herself, so I can talk about it. I'm like, my throat is burning. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. And I threw up in my car within an hour.
Huh.
So I can't anything, even if I smell a banana, my throat starts to and I don't know if it's just because I'm having flashbacks of that really awful moment in time in my life. So there's a few that I drink. One that I used to drink a lot was called Kale Blazer, but I can't find it anywhere. That was just a strict all green naked. So the Power C is one that I really like. And then there's a Berry Blast that doesn't have a banana in it. So really I'm just limited to the 2. And I have to buy, even like for orange juice, I buy like the smaller ones because if I buy a big giant thing of orange juice, I'll just drink it. I'll just open the fridge and just like nonstop. Like I had to buy some yesterday. I bought Simply Orange is the kind that I like. And so for Whole30, you can have sugar. You just, it can't be processed. So if like orange juice is okay, fruits are okay, as long as it's natural. Some orange juice is like, I'm not drinking Sunny Delight.
Right.
Where you're like, oh, this is great to give to our kids. And then you look at the ingredient and there's high fructose corn syrup in it. Like, so it's not really great for the kids.
It's orange drink.
Orange drink, yes. Even it tastes great. Well, there's a reason it tastes great because there's high fructose corn syrup in it. So even, so I've drank in almost the whole jar of my Simply Orange. That's why I buy individual packs because I have no self-control. So, all right, we are up against a break. Top of the hour, Leslie Pierce is going to be joining us. We'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's Jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit stoptextstoprex.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, "Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket," and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. Had a pretty awesome first hour. If you missed any part of the show, you can check us out on theticketfm.com. We are on all podcasting platforms. So, like I said, check that out. We are joined in studio by one of my favorite Fit members, Leslie Pierce. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Thanks for taking time out of your day to come in. I know this is an important month for you, right? Is it?
Every month's important. Come on.
Well, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so we decided for our first show of the month, we wanted to have one of our members that is a breast cancer survivor to come in with us to share her story. But before we get to that, we just want to get to know Leslie a little bit. So, Leslie, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in fitness, Farrell's, that type of thing. Because you've been a member at Farrell's for like 9 years now.
Yes, 9 years.
Okay.
So like anybody else, prior to that, I had dabbled. Was not an athlete in high school by any means. Was a cheerleader, so yay. So just kind of dabbled, tried to lift the weights, tried to do this stuff, But then it was always, oh, hey, I worked out. I'm gonna have pizza, So obviously nothing worked. And funny enough, my husband, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, but he bought me for Christmas, along with the DVD player, a fitness membership to a gym. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that well, that was rude, but it was all, try to go together and get involved. And it was a gym that's no longer here in Lincoln, but it was definitely just all about fitness. But we ended up living south. And so the gym was north, didn't really go there anymore. And my husband was constantly it was probably maybe 2009, 2010, or maybe a little later then, but we'd see the signs for Farrell's. He's like, I think I really want to do that. And we'd hear the radio advertisements. I think I really want to do that. I think I want to do that. And I just I had my son had just turned 1. And so he joined the spring session of 2013. Okay. And he came home and just loved his team, just really liked everything. He's like, I think you want to do this. I think you want to do this. And I'm like, whatever. I was still, once again, dabbling, wasn't really a member anymore, working out at home, kind of doing the P90X, or they had a gym at the place where I worked. So I try to go do that some of the times, but nothing really consistent, I guess would be the best word. So I ended up joining in 2013, in June of 2013. And the rest is kind of history, I guess. Got on a team. No one's there anymore from the team, from my coaches. I think they moved off to Alaska, but definitely within a couple years, definitely found a really core group of people. And I guess I can say that's one of the things that keeps me going. And in my session, just to, not to brag or anything, but I was in top 5. At the time, we kind of did the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the gyms, and I was in the top 5 for my session. So that was, I had really good results. And I won a couple of fit challenges. My favorite fit challenge, Crystal, as you know, was the very first
Fit Bowl.
The Fit Bowl.
Yep.
And we were the feral cats, and we won with our brains and not our brawn.
Now, I've been trying to do this again.
Have you?
Like, I've talked to them about it.
Fun.
So maybe next year. But the last fit challenge we had was pretty fun with the triathlon.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the Fit Bowl, yes.
The Fit Bowl. Yeah, that was really fun. That was super fun.
And I still see some shirts lingering.
Oh, I still have the shirt. I'll wear one tomorrow.
Like with the NFL, but it says FXB or F, right?
Yep.
Is that what that was? Or is that a different?
Number 2.
That was number 2. Yeah,
that
was Fit Bowl 2.
Yeah.
So what for Fit Bowl, were you like the running back? Like, was it, did you play a football game, or was it like track and field events, like the javelin throw?
No, none of those.
High jump, anything, 100 meter.
We had a field day, and we tried to do, like, we had a sled pull.
Yes.
Which was a favorite. We would kind of hook. We had Matt Posfar was the fit coach with me, and so we would load up medicine balls on this old sled that he had, and we would hook it around their waist, and they'd have to go 10-15 yards, and we would time it, and then we would do
it was bear crawl
and med ball carries and stuff like that.
And there was a kicking. I think I was the one that did the kicking.
Yes, we did have we had a throwing, and you could either throw or kick a football.
Oh, like a punt pass competition,
kind of something like that.
Yeah.
So we did incorporate some football type activities in there as well. But
what was kind of funny about that is it was my husband and I and another couple, and they had to catch a flight. So when we found out we made the finals, it's just like,
that's right,
crap. And then we finished up, and found out we won. They might have left after we knew we won, but they had to leave.
They had to leave. I do remember that.
We do have a shout out to you, Leslie, from Sheila.
Of course.
Says hi, Leslie. Now, Sheila used to be a member, and Sheila needs to come back. So
Sheila does need to come back.
Whenever you're ready to come back, Sheila, you just let me know. And if you need me to call your work to adjust the schedule, just give me your boss's number. And I'll make a call, and we'll see if we can get that changed.
I know her boss, so I've already said something.
All right, so back to the Ferals chat. So you met some friends, and most of these ladies are your best friends.
Oh yes, very close. I call them my bees.
You can interpret that however you want.
And our queen bee is Barbie, and there's Whitney and Sabine and Tammy, and then a slew of other ladies from that. Just a lot of good friends. Even and some of them aren't even there anymore, but we still try to get together when we can. So
and what's so cool is like some of your best friends are ladies you met from Ferals.
Absolutely.
Some of Crystal's best friends are ladies she met from Ferals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of our friends we've met at Ferals over the last 15 years. I have one person I talked to that when I was younger, but for the most part, all of our friends. So that's what's really cool is you don't know anybody that you're working out with, but you see them at their most vulnerable. If you're in the morning, they roll in with no makeup on, just right out of bed. You're just seeing them right at their weakest moment, right? And you sweat together, you cry together, you go through all kinds of things together. So it's just kind of cool relationship building where you're not on your own, but you're with a group of people.
Well, really cool. And I think just as far as the whole fitness aspect,
Yeah.
it is a huge accountability partner when you've got those people. I mean, there were times that I didn't show up just for whatever reason. It was life, it was sickness, it was whatever. They're like, "Where have you been?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been out of town, or I've had this happen. I threw out my back last year." And Jeff's like, "Well, where have you been?" I'm like, "Man, I can't even stand up." I'm like, "Give me a break."
I've learned
but
to tread lightly sometimes when I ask people where, like when I first became an owner, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" Well, my mom died. Okay. So I'm just kind of like with people that I know really well, like, if you two, if I haven't seen you two, I'd be like, I could kind of be a little, like, "What are you doing?" A little bit more like, because we're friends and I've known you guys for 4.5 years now. Like, if Harrison doesn't show up or another 10-weeker, I won't talk to them like I would talk to you guys. So I'd be like, "Just checking to see if everything's okay. Haven't seen you." The last couple of years, it was like, "Well, I have COVID." So like, well, okay, well, I'm glad you're not at the gym then, but nobody would ever tell me. Right. And so then I would be like, "What's going on? Where are you at?" And then, I've heard some reasons like, okay, those are probably legitimate. So I should probably be a little more softball question.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, "Yo, where have you been? You've missed a week. What are you doing? Quit making excuses." Like, that's what I'd say to you.
Well, I know. And it's all in jest. And so I get that.
Right.
So
Well, and I mean, just, there's just a place where people genuinely want to see your face. They genuinely miss you when you're not there. And they want to know, be like, "I really miss you. I miss working out, miss chatting," that kind of stuff. And so it's just that community of people, and it crosses all, it doesn't have to be the time that you work out in, when you cross paths with people, especially on Saturday mornings. I know going to fit was always a lot of fun and is a lot of fun because you are now working out with some of your friends that go to different times, and so now you're all working out together. So,
All right. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about one of the main reasons you're here, or unless you have anything else to add about your fitness background, anything like that before we move on.
no, I think the cheerleader was it.
Okay.
That would have been my fitness background in high school.
Where did you go to school at?
High school?
Yeah.
Grand Island Central Catholic. Woohoo.
Okay.
Crusaders.
I was born in Grand Island.
I know.
But I only lived there for 2 years.
One of your cousins was on my squad with me.
Now, who's that?
Christy.
Okay, yes, that's right. You did know her. She did Farrell's for a little while, a few years ago. Most of my family, I have a lot of family that live in Lincoln, and most of them, I don't know if they think I just run a cult or I'm just like,
you can call it a cult.
I mean, it's a good cult, right? It's a cult of being healthy.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, like, I don't really have any family that comes to Farrell's, even though I have tons of family that live here. It's like, oh, I just don't feel good. Well, if I knew somebody that this was their profession, maybe they can help me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day.
Sure.
All right. So Leslie, give us a little bit of background. So you are a breast cancer survivor.
I am.
And I might let you and Crystal chat a little bit about this because I don't know much about it because I'm just the guy and I'm me. So
it can affect you too.
I did. Well, that's what I heard.
Yes,
that's what I heard.
That up, yeah.
And in fact, I didn't even know my grandma had breast cancer until about an hour ago.
That does not surprise me, Jeff.
Okay. Nicole's probably nodding her head yes, listening to the show. Yeah. So it must not have been, I mean, I must have been younger. I mean, she lived to be in her 90s. So I don't think, well, I guess I don't know. I don't think she died of breast cancer.
It's hard to say when someone's 90. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how long ago, I know it's kind of a longer process for you. So tell us a little bit about that.
My whole process it started in 2017, in the spring. And I went in for just a routine mammogram, and at that time they were doing the 3D. So it was a little bit more, what I want to say, just more detailed or more, it's whatever I can say about that. Just, it was 3D. And I got the results back, and they said, "Hey, we want you to come in for a diagnostic." Well, the diagnostic was a couple days later. This all happened so the day when it was a Monday, I believe it was March 6th. Okay. And just for a little bit of background, 2 days before I just bought a car. So of course, when how Murphy's Law works, you just invested a bunch of money into something and then something crappy happens. So, but So I went in, it was Wednesday, was a diagnostic. And for people that have never had a mammogram or anything, just to let you know, the 3D takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Like I was probably an AMI all of less than half an hour in and out of there. The diagnostic, I was sitting there. The mammogram didn't take long, but all of the reading and everything afterwards. And I was, sitting there for quite some time. I think it was almost an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then a radiologist took me in and they pointed some stuff out to me. And they said, these are some new microcalcifications. We think you need to get a stereoscopic biopsy. And so I was like, oh, okay, kind of, that's weird because I had been pretty diligent about going in every year. I was 42 at the time. And so Friday was fun, not really at all. So I came back 2 days later. So all in the period of a week. So I'm in there Friday, had to take off early from work. And for this biopsy, there's like a hole. It's a medical table. There's a hole in it and you're supposed to stick your breast in there. And then they do the mammogram, which squeezes and not the most pleasant thing. So ideally the way I just made that sound doesn't take like it would take all that time to get ready for it. However, the spot was so far back on my chest wall that to get in position to do this, I had not only had to put my breast through this hole, but also my whole right arm and into my shoulder. And it took about an hour to an hour and a half to get into this position. And it was on the table, off the table, on the table, off the table. And then finally, when the radiologist came in and he was super, super cute. So it was kind of, you talk about being vulnerable. It was like, oh my gosh. So he was in there and they had to stick a needle in me. And that all took like 10 minutes. Right. Like that whole thing took 10 minutes, but getting into position was about an hour and a half. And I remember it was during Lent because I come home and my husband was like, hey, do you want to go to Venue and go get some cocktail shrimp? And I'm like, I am physically and mentally exhausted. I just need to sit on the couch. Yeah. Like I am so tired. So that just kind of goes to show how some men are. Jeff not knowing his grandma had
most men.
Most men. Like, let's go get food. Nope, I can't eat anything. So that's how that week went. And shortly thereafter, I got results back and they said I had my doctor, my OB called me and she said, hey, I'm really sorry, but you have LCIS, which is shortened for lobular carcinoma in situ. Okay. And so then next thing you know, I'm meeting with a surgeon. And by the way, at this time, I was coaching the January noobs at 5 p.m. So when this all happened, so I was coaching some new people, but thank God it was well far enough into the session that it was, they're pretty much self-sufficient at that point. So I find myself, I think it was like, I don't know, for some reason, the 22nd of March finds out, but I find myself that I'm at St. E's going under anesthesia and they're doing an excisional biopsy to make sure that it's this LCIS and nothing more. And that's what they found originally. And meeting with an oncologist, they stuck me on a pill that's called tamoxifen. It's a chemopreventative. And they're like, you'll probably be on this for 5 years, but that was kind of the outcome at that point. And I have a brother who is a plastic surgeon out of Birmingham, Alabama. And so thank God I had him as a resource to call and talk to him about. And so he's like, Leslie, I know you don't want to be on this pill forever, but he's like, this is probably the best outcome you can have. So that's kind of where we stood with that.
So from your initial mammogram to then the biopsy, like how long of a time period was that?
Oh, couple weeks.
Okay. And in that couple weeks, I can only imagine just where your mind goes and all the feels. And
for those of you who don't know me really well, I'm pretty like level-headed, logical, very independent, fiercely independent. I've been accused of being called fiercely independent. So I tried not to let it bother me too much. I have found that what is the point of worrying about like how bad this could go? That serves absolutely no one. It especially doesn't serve yourself. It definitely doesn't serve your family. And I was kind of more like, I don't want to worry about something until there's something to be worried about. So that's kind of the philosophy I held with that. So, but just kind of going back to having those resources. And I do have a cousin on my mom's side, and her dad's like all of his sisters. So he's not, her mother would be my blood aunt. And so her dad is not my blood relation, but her father's sisters, I don't know how many he had, but if not at least 5, and if not all 5 of them had breast cancer, then at least 4 of them did. A couple had passed away. I know her grandma passed away. So I had talked to her about it. I said, hey, because I remember her having this big list of like genetic stuff that she went through for like the BRCA and all that. So I asked her about that, and she said, I get mammograms. She's like, I don't do mammograms. She goes, I do MRIs, because if there's a blip on there, they're coming off, just because of her riddled family history. I didn't have family history of that. I had family history of cancer. So I did have 2 cousins, fraternal cousins. So my dad's nieces, so they were blood, but they had breast cancer at different stages of their lives. One was in childbearing. She ended up passing away 10 years after that. In 2016, she passed away. And then I had another one that was in postmenopausal. So nothing was clicking. Like there was no grandmas, no nothing like that. And I had family say, well, it's in our family. I said, not like how
Super
you think
right.
it would be. So definitely cancer, but definitely not the. But I asked her about it, and she's like, well, I do the MRIs. And I said, so one time I went and saw my oncologist. I said, hey, do you think I should get an MRI? And she's like, yeah, I don't think a baseline MRI is a bad idea. But the point is that I had to ask. It wasn't suggested, maybe we should do this. Had I not done that, I had no idea where I'd be.
So I had, speaking of the MRI, so I've got big time family history of breast cancer, my mom and aunt. And so I just had my annual appointment with my gynecologist last week, and I'm kind of hitting that point of getting MRIs along with my mammograms. And so, if there's because I'm high risk, if there's a certain rubric that they use to decide whether or not you're like at the high risk area that you hit this point, that you would get a mammogram, and then 6 months later you get MRI, and then mammogram again. And so I'm kind of in that limbo also, just waiting to see if that's something that as closer as I get to, my mom was diagnosed when she was 49, I'm 45, kind of getting into that area where so you bringing up the MRI. And I said, the first I had heard of it was last week. And, how important it is to have those, healthcare providers that look out and suggest those things that you wouldn't normally know about. So,
and I would never have known about them had I not asked a fellow, just my cousin, she's not even, doesn't have it or anything, but just someone. And so I was the one that suggested that. So now with an MRI, since I was still childbearing, whatever, menstruating, whatever you want to call it, you can't just go in any old day as a woman and say, I need an MRI. So especially for that type of thing, it had to be like during a certain time of your cycle. So, and also since I just had that excisional biopsy, they needed to wait for some healing to happen, for the inflammation to come down. So I didn't get the MRI until mid-May of that year. And it was just normal MRI. And if none of you had an MRI, they're absolutely horrible. Breast MRIs, you're laying face down, your head's on something, your arms are all the way over your head. It's super duper loud in there, and you can't really move. And you're in there for 30 to 40 minutes, and it's loud and it's awful. And I would recommend highly, if you ever have to do that, use both earplugs and the headphones. It is so loud. And that came back with a new area of concern. So
with that, it's kind of like a little teaser, little cliffhanger. We do have to take a break, so we'll be right back. Just a few minutes, visiting with Leslie Pierce, talking about her breast cancer survival. I'm trying to think of a word. Journey. Thank you. But we'll be back here, 93.7 The Ticket.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in to the Fitness Fanatics. We are joined in studio by Leslie Pierce, just kind of talking about her breast cancer journey. Left you off at a cliffhanger on the last one. She had just went in for her MRI, and we'll continue.
Yes. So as I said, I went in for an MRI in May of 2017, and the results came back with a new area of concern. And so, of course, I'm just like, come on, seriously? So I had talked to some other people. I can't even remember who I talked to, but I'm like, I feel like I want to just go get another opinion. Do I really want to go through this crap, you know? And I talked to a fellow survivor's daughter, and she talked to me about going up to UNMC and reaching out to a doctor up there. So I did reach out to the doctor or that team up there. And so that's just going up to Omaha, 40 minutes.
Right.
And the surgical oncologist up there, she says, I think, go ahead and get it. She goes, I know you came here for a second opinion, but I think, if they're seeing something, you definitely want to check it out. And I believe she had my results as well. I'm sure she did. So with that, just the same thing happened again. The MRI had to come at a certain time of the month for me. Like it had to be at a certain time. So I did not end up getting that MRI until mid-July.
Okay.
And July 13th, to be exact. No, it wasn't July 13th. I think it was July 10th. It was July 10th. And that one was that was a needle-guided MRI biopsy. So that was 100 times worse. So not only are you laying in the awful position, but then they're taking a needle and poking a very tender area.
Yes.
And that was awful. And so after I got out of that and obviously a lot of pain, they gave me, ice packs everywhere for swelling. I was wrapped up kind of like Mulan was when they tried to hide that she was a boy. Ace bandages all around my chest hole area. Went out to coffee with a friend and we were just talking. And so then a few days later, and it came back that was positive. Now, if you recall when I talked about the stereoscopic biopsy where I had to put my arm and my breast through a hole because it was so far back on the chest wall, this tumor was closer to my nipple. Okay. So if you think about that, the first, where they found the LCIS was like, I would call miles away from where the actual tumor was. And so now it was a lobular, and it was called invasive lobular carcinoma. So, because it was invasive. And I like to think of the tumor, because it's not something you could feel, like an amoeba. Like it really didn't have a shape. Okay. Like it was just kind of there. And so July 13th was when I was officially diagnosed.
Okay.
And so then that was when the roller coaster started going. And anyone listening, and I know we've had several members that have dealt with this, when you find out that diagnosis, you're just being told, go here, go here, go here, go there, go there, go there, go there. So I talked to my brother again, and he's like, look, if you're going to have to get a mastectomy, you find somebody who can do nipple sparing, you look into a deep flat, like he talked about all this stuff. And so I went back to the surgeon who did the excisional, and I asked him, because, here we are, we're at this is a completely different path. And I said, well, do you do this nipple sparing? He's like, no, I don't do that. And I said, well, I'm going to have to go seek out somebody else. And my brother actually called a surgeon up in Omaha at the UNMC. And I went there, and I had an amazing team of doctors up there. And I just couldn't recommend them more to go up to the Buffett Cancer Center. And for those of you that don't know, the Buffett Cancer Center is trying to rival Mayo Clinic.
Okay.
We have that right here, 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I will hear women that are like, well, I don't want to drive. It's like, you don't want to drive 40 minutes to go see the best world-class surgeons.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. But I mean, I'm kind of opinionated. Jeff.
Yeah.
A little bit. You play terrible music. But anyway, so he got a hold of this doctor up there that would do this nipple sparing. And so I met with him, and I tell you what, when I met with them, I spent my husband went with me. I spent an hour at least with that surgeon. He was very thorough. He reminded me of Einstein, just the way he looked. He looked like Einstein. And a point here is, so this is, end of July, kind of we're getting August here of 2017. We had booked a trip for Mexico.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, you got to be, come on. And I talked to this surgeon. I said, look, is there any way we could put off the surgery? Because he recommended a double mastectomy because of my age. And I said, is there any way that we could postpone this until after we go to Mexico? And he's like, you're taking tamoxifen? And I said, yeah. He says, not a problem. He's like, I've had patients before where their tumor was the size of a softball and they took tamoxifen to shrink it down before I could go in. He goes, and it shrunk it down. He's like, I am not worried. As long as you're on tamoxifen, you should be fine. And then I met with another surgeon who was the reconstruction guy. And just for your information, a plastic surgeon who just does mainly plastic surgery to augment breasts and one that can perform reconstruction are two different things. The chances are the reconstruction can do the other stuff. And usually that's the part, but they're not all the same.
They're not all the same.
So plastic surgeons that mainly do cosmetic stuff are not necessarily, especially breast ones. It's not the same. So I met with the reconstruction guy up there. And the thing is, it's a teaching hospital. So you just have all sorts of care. So long story short, I was able to go to Mexico that year. I came back. I have some great pictures of a bunch of ferals, that we went out to dinner and did a lot of kind of celebratory things, was kind of having kind of a mind stuff at that point. And I went in on November 1, and that was when I had my double mastectomy. And what they do for that is they'll take out sentinel nodes. So lymph nodes are kind of like bowling balls. So those sentinel nodes are kind of like those head pins. So they remove 3.
Okay.
Well, they found a lesion on one.
Oh, okay.
Which made them go in and take out 18 more. So that is why I wear the sleeve. It's a compression sleeve to make sure that lymphatic fluid doesn't pool up everywhere. And I had 21 lymph nodes removed from that arm. So that's why I wear the sleeve. I couldn't go back to the gym for obvious reasons. I couldn't, obviously I could kick, but who knows, there's, your body needs to heal, to just jump in it. I've heard people like, oh, I went and ran a marathon. I'm like, well, you're crazy. Yeah.
So how long were you out
of ferals?
Because we weren't there yet.
You were not there.
Okay.
So I went to another gym during, I paused my membership. And I went to another gym at that time just to get on a treadmill, kind of just stuff. And it was winter. I went to another gym to try to do some stuff, try to do some leg stuff. And I talked to my doctors and I went back. When did you guys start? February?
8 of 2018. Yeah, that's what we got here.
I think, yeah. So I think right before I was back for a month. And I only went to kickboxing. I didn't come on band days just because even with legs, holding up the bands and stuff. I probably could have done some donkey kicks and stuff that with the bands, but I didn't. I just mainly came on kickboxing, punched really low, didn't really, but just to do something for about a month. And then on the 7th of February, I think that's when I went in and had my my reconstruction done. Now I want to go back a little bit. So with the reconstruction, they had to put in these tissue expanders. So that went under the muscle to kind of make room for the implants that I was going to have. And that was super painful. I'd have to go in once a week and get those filled to kind of create room. And it was honestly it hurt so bad.
I remember my mom mentioning something like that too.
Oh, they're absolutely awful. It was give me my oxycodone. This is terrible. It was absolutely awful. That hurt worse than and it hurt for 48 hours, but it was very, very intense pain. And those tissue expanders were so heavy. It felt like when I would get up in the morning, it felt like I was almost there was a cinder block on my chest. They were extremely, extremely uncomfortable. And I originally thought they told me that I was going to have them until May of 2018. And then when I saw them, he's like, you can have this reconstruction in February. And I was like, oh, okay, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
So I was out of ferals from basically November, because I went on Halloween, and I'll never forget. I was like, can we do some of those single arm curls? How stupid was that? I'm going in to get, they're messing with my muscles, and very, very painful. However, my reconstructionist just said that I had pretty strong pecs. He's like, yeah, those, you have pretty strong pecs there. Those. So, I guess
and sometimes I know with having the as much strength training as we do, as well, which is a good thing, is that, even with a mammogram, they've really got to, it's easier to actually pull the tissue away.
Oh yeah.
With the muscle build, the pec muscles, it's easier to pull that breast tissue away to get a decent test. Now it's a little bit harder because there is a lot of muscle there, but
yeah.
If you do strength training very regularly, so there is that side to it, but it's also, the whole process sometimes is trying to get that pulled away. But I want to go back. So with your nipple sparing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do they do a lot of testing to make sure that there's not the cancer cells within that nipple tissue?
Oh yeah.
To make sure that like, hey, we can actually save this and
yeah.
give
So
you that.
with doing that, it's obviously about where the tumor is and where the cancer is.
I was just curious, since yours was closer to the nipple area, if that was a area of concern for them.
My oncologist, who's out of Lincoln here, they're at NHO, she was okay. Like I trusted what they were saying. They're really concerned about it. And I mean, I'm guessing it's okay because everything's been coming back clean.
No,
since then.
I'm just curious as
I mean, I think that would have been flagged, and yes, it's all about being a candidate for something.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it was closer to up there, but that was a good thing. Yeah. So, and for those of you who don't understand what a nipple sparing is that where they cut underneath your breast and basically pull up that skin tissue and remove all of the tissue, versus just making a straight line right across the front of your breast, removing all the nipple, and then you have this scar there. So
I think it's good for everyone to know that that's an option.
Yeah.
To at least be able to ask versus, nope, sorry.
I didn't even know it was an option until my brother said something. And that's a thing. And that's a big thing about, I would have never known had he not said that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've found this, that it's extremely important to advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right or something doesn't sound right, or you've heard of something else somewhere, ask for it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, so we got a few more minutes here. How did, like, for your recovery, like relationships that you made, your gym team members and stuff, like, because you didn't know them when you started.
Nope.
And here we are 5 years later.
Yep.
And they're kind of the people you're leaning on, and they're helping you get through this. So just take a few minutes and kind of share. If you want to throw their names out, that's cool too.
I can.
Just kind of, those that your inner circle that helped you get through this.
Yeah. So I did end up creating just like a Facebook group I called it Leslie's Circle. And I was kind of private about being diagnosed with this. I don't feel like everyone needed to know. I'm not that kind of person that I don't want a lot of sympathy from people. Maybe that comes with the whole fierce independent thing, but I just really felt like the people I want to know, I will tell them. I'll get them involved. I don't want that. I didn't need that. So with that, I just was like, I need a way to communicate to people. So Barb Peterson, our queen bee, she's the queen bee of PIO, just if no one knows. So if you're at PIO and you're like, who's Barb? She's our queen bee, and she's been there forever. So anyway, I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to have my husband, Brian, I said, I'm going to have him text you when the doctors come out with updates. And so what she was able to do is she would get those updates and then she would put them on the page. So it kind of helps people be updated on that. I had a couple of friends that I had my husband reach out to update on that. But, and during recovery, I remember I had Cindy Ritter. She's a nurse. Shout out to Cindy here in town. Like, one of my bandages was like, it was very poorly. She's like, what the hell? And so she came over on a Sunday. She brought me a nice, cute little bracelet. And then she fixed me all up. I had several people go out to lunch. Like, they'd come and take me to lunch because I obviously couldn't drive because I was on the pain pills. And that was a big thing, is like, stay on top of your pain. So I was kind of every 3 hours I was taking those pain pills, and they did help. They did help a lot.
All right. Well, we are up against our final break. We'll be right back here with Leslie and Crystal on 93.7 The Ticket.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life, the bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to going out and enjoying your Nebraska state parks. Plan your next trip today at yournebraskaparks.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. We got a quick final segment. Been joined in studio by Leslie Pierce. Just been talking about her breast cancer journey here for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. If you missed any part of the show, you can check us out on the ticketfm.com website, on any of the podcasts, Fitness Fanatics. Just in this last segment, we want to talk about how your recovery with already being fit in exercise before your diagnosis and how like that kind of helped with your recovery efforts after?
I totally believe it played a huge part in it. I mean, I just don't think I would have recovered as well as I did had I not been in that situation. And I tell you, when I was first diagnosed with this lobular carcinoma or invasive lobular carcinoma, I looked it up, I looked it up and it's not that I went to a medical journal or anything. I just, Googled it. Right. And I found this article and it said, oh, so you've been, if you think you might, possibly inherit this, like if this is something that might be in your future, it says, make sure that you eat well, you exercise, you don't smoke, and don't drink a whole lot or don't drink it all or whatever. And I read that and I flipped off my phone. I was like, are you kidding? Okay, great. Thanks for the advice. I was already doing that. Like, when I was diagnosed, I was probably at the best shape of my life. I placed in the Fit Challenge in that spring. I placed in the one in the summer. I was in really, really good shape. And that definitely played a huge part in recovery. I have nothing to compare it to.
So going in fit.
Yes.
And then it helps coming out.
Oh, heck yeah. Definitely. I definitely think it definitely helped with my recovery. I have nothing to base it on, but I couldn't imagine it not because, I mentioned that I was taking some pain pills because it's a painful, recovery is painful. They cut you open. It's what's not painful about that. I was off of those in a couple weeks. I took them again when I had the fills, but I had them on hand for things like that. But I definitely, I was driving within a couple weeks. I really, like I said, I joined another gym for just a little bit because I couldn't do ferals. I couldn't do the kickboxing. Just to try to keep
it's almost the mental psyche of working out. When you get into that routine of working out, you need to do something. Just for your own well-being. So finding that alternative when you couldn't do the thing you had been doing.
Yeah. And I was very excited to get back. And after that second surgery, the reconstruction, I was out for like 10 or 12 weeks because I think I didn't even come back officially to like April of 20. Yeah, it was quite a while. So, and I was just itching to get back.
Yeah.
And my doctor was a bit conservative. So he's like, well, you can go back now. I'm like, thank you. And I think I came to a 5 a.m. class.
Yeah.
And it was really good to be back. But definitely it helps. I can't imagine it not helping.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but I know that definitely for the mental part and being able just to kind of get up and do stuff. People are like, oh my gosh, you're walking up the stairs. I'm like, well, I kind of have to walk up the stairs.
Get your body moving,
get your body moving,
cardiovascular system.
Yeah.
Just everything going. And you just can't overstate the mental side of fitness.
No.
At all.
No, not at all.
In terms of everything that, those endorphins that are released with fitness and just, like the mental health of it all. Sometimes I know for me, being able to kick the bag and hit the bag as hard as I can sometimes when you've had a bad day. You walk out of the gym just like, okay, that's what I needed.
Yeah, I agree.
So having that outlet with anything that you're going through, whether it's, your job or medical condition or something like that, you're going through a lot, and to be able to release some of that, I think is
adulting is hard.
Adulting is hard.
Well, and it's good that you can punch and kick the bag as hard as you want, and it's not punching you back.
Exactly.
Or kicking you back. So you don't have to punch and run. You can just go on.
I don't know. There have been times where I've hit the bag and I missed it and I kind of hit my face.
Well, an uppercut maybe.
Really, I think it was a hook, and I'm like, oh, I hope no one saw that. I have been here for a while.
Any last?
Yeah. So this is one
advice?
thing I kind of want to touch on. For anybody that has survived it or is going through this or knows somebody or anything, is you might see your friends or people that and they're like, oh, well, they're fine now. And for the most part, we might be. But one thing that I feel like doctors never tell you is the mental kind of part when you're recovering, because my surgeries are done. Fortunately, I didn't have to have chemo or radiation. But a lot of, more often than not, patients do. And So you might see them and they're done. So their hair's starting to grow back. There's a huge mental aspect of that behind. So for us, you know, we live with this every day. For someone outside looking in, it's a blip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for us as survivors to recognize that it's a blip to other people, because I know that, and this has happened before with other people. It's like, oh, this happened to so-and-so. I really should reach out to them. I feel bad I don't reach out to them. And it's like, you know, we all have lives, but I think an important thing is, if you're going through this or know someone that's going through this, just keep in mind of the mental part that they still are going to go through every single day of their life.
Yeah.
Every time I'm going to have an MRI coming up here. It's going to be my 5-year. So, and it's always stressful.
Yeah,
it's always
absolutely.
stressful. You know, those results, they come back in a few days. Those are some really long days. It's just like, oh gosh, I hope everything's okay. There's always new tests coming out to be like, oh, let's see, you know, there's always different stuff. And then you sit there and think, well, do I want to know? Would I want to know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's, I know there's been a woman that I worked with a while that she found out she had a type of cancer and she was gone in 3 weeks. And it's like, you know, she didn't know before.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for your time.
Oh,
we
you bet.
appreciate it. Hopefully your story can help others. There is a Making Strides Against Breast Cancer 5K coming up on October 16th. So if you want to help raise some money for that organization, you can do that. So thanks, Crystal, for coming in, being my co-pilot. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Harrison. We'll see you back here next Sunday on the Fitness Fanatics.